Hey guys, welcome to Jim Lowry Writes. Today, I want to share with you behind the scenes of how I created My Fly Felix Me, my first job. So, I'm going to be sharing my screen and going through some of the programs that I used to put together the book. So, the first one is Google Docs. So, I started with there because that is an easy way for me to share out with my beta readers. So I want to start off by saying thank you so much to all of my beta readers out there. I had around 40 beta readers for this project, and I am super excited to say that it ranged from pre-K aged student populations all the way to elder adults who were helping me read through my manuscript. I had teachers, parents, I had families, I had grandparents, librarians, and just having a wide variety in my beta reader pool was very helpful, especially when I kept hearing the same thing. Vocabulary, vocabulary. I was like, okay, I got you guys. I'm going to be working on it. And so I continue to edit on my Google Doc. And how I built it is I did each page separate. So it would say page 1, and I'd have my lines, page 2, and I'd have my lines. After I finished all of my pages out and had my complete story, then I went to canva.com and I typed in 8.5 times 8.5 and I did a custom dimension size. And I had my book. I went ahead and added all my pages in, and I found the copy paste function and put my words in each page. I looked at the way that I set up one of my previous children's books, so I already kind of had a template, had a model, and I'd already done all the research of like what comes first in the pages and all of that good stuff. So I pretty much used that as my model. And then I moved in and built my opening pages. After I did that, I pulled out sketches, and I did not bring them up here. Of course, I had to watch this emotional video somebody posted on Facebook today, and I'm sitting there crying right before I'm going live. So I could show you guys the originals. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna be right back. See, people's gonna come on and go, where's she at? Okay, so I promised to show tools, and I didn't have my tools up here. Hilarious. Oh, there's my exercise for today. Hey, Tish, I am here talking how I put the children's book together and what steps I took. So I moved from Google Docs, did all the beta reading, moved over to Canva, and actually started putting it together. And I made, Tish, you've seen all this. I've showed you like the behind the scenes sketches. And I did a page per sketch. So like I knew I wanted that to go on the cover. In my mind, I knew I wanted to be you, Ladybug. And then I drew out my rocket ship. So you guys can see really thick watercolor paper that I got in a lovely box from Amazon. And I drew out each component, each page. And it was pretty much in one sketch, you're done for a lot of these drawings because they're not fancy. Y'all, can y'all tell? That's a trash can. It's got the banana peel on it. I'm good. See my dinosaur? Oh, it looks like a dinosaur. Yes. That's definitely pterodactyl. Look, easy, right? So here I am creating all of the images on each page. Then I started getting to how did I want my anatomy page to look. And so I did start to kind of play around with some of the different ones. I ended up choosing this one as my base. I love that fly swatter. It's simple. And so my husband was also helping me draw. So these are my husband's anatomy. And this was going to be Felix. Now my husband did it like super fancy. I was like, wait, how can I create that? How can I move from there? When I kind of wanted the drawings to look like this. So I actually wanted this in the book, coming out of one of the sides of the pages. And so, yes, I put it on the side. So in my mind, I was actually doing all of that so I could cut and paste. I was like, oh, I want my ladybug to fly. But then I had, again, problems with Felix. So then I was drawing like multiple Felix characters. I was like, okay, there's the fly on the wall. I want to be this fly. This became, yeah. And so I did a page, and so these are just like not good ladybugs. Went through those. I wanted a movie theater, and I wanted the popcorn with my ladybug on top of the popcorn. Hey, Cheyenne. Good to have you. Tish, we've got Cheyenne here. My friend Tish is over on YouTube. So here is Old Pickle Jar with Mr. Grasshopper. Now, guys, listen. This is really scary. I'm just warning you. Like, I'm warning you. Like, it's really scary. It's like an alien. It's ridiculous. I don't know what was happening that day. Now, these I absolutely love. So, go ahead. Y'all can handle it. So, this is my Jump Inside reader. And I have them coming in because I wanted it to be like coming off the page. I wanted to imagine them like jumping off. So I needed it close to the corner. And this was like a hooray. And I was going to put the hooray on the cover, and then I chose not to. I think that I really need to. Tish said those are her favorites. So I was like, so I was going to put this baby right here jumping on the cover, kind of hanging off of the words My Fly Felix Me, hanging off the M. And then I was like, no way, I think I need to save the stick people for the inside of the book. Then again, I'm still working on Felix, as you can see. And then after I got to my final sketches, so I'm showing you all of them. This is the fly on the wall over here. Because if I had $1 for every time I heard somebody say they wish they could be a fly on the wall, that's why you're lucky that you could be in my book and meet Felix. And there's my kite, which ended up, the digital kite ended up being my favorite of all of them. So I'm showing you guys all of the behind the scenes, like messes that I made. And there is my red bird. Okay. After I did the sketches, I was like, yay. These were made with watercolor. I felt really good. So I had my watercolor pencils. I got this set off of Amazon. And inside it comes with this really cool watercolor pen. And I was like, cool, I'm good to go, right? That's what I was thinking. Other than me not really kind of being satisfied with Felix, I felt really good about the majority of the pictures, and I knew that these were just my first sketches. So I made a page for each sketch. Then I was like, how do I get it from here into the book? So I watched YouTube. I was like, come on, AuthorTube, help me out here. and everyone was talking about fancy scanners. I was like, there's no way. I don't have one of these fancy scanners. Well, in fact, I actually did have a scanner that you could change the quality, and I was watching how to do the settings and all of that. So we pulled up my husband's computer, and because he had the printer stuff connected to it, and he showed me, oh, look, you do have all of this. So we started messing around with all of the printer settings. I didn't even know it. I've had this printer for ages. I bought it. It has a scanner with it. I had no clue what it had on there. And we scanned it, and it still did not look the quality like I wanted. So it was actually kind of like grainy, like really grainy. This was like just a copy, like the photocopy, but the scanning was not really effective for me with what tools I had here at the house. So then I was like, okay, even though we set the quality, we did everything that the YouTube channel, the video that I was watching said to do for your scanner. So I set everything. I was really confident. When I went to pull up each image, it still looked grainy off the page. And I was like, well, maybe that's my fault because I'm using just watercolor, and I'm just using these basic sketches. So then I started to problem solve, well, what's next? What can I do next to try? So I pulled out my phone, and if you guys have an iPhone, you actually have a really cool scanner on your notes section of your iPhone. So that's actually what I did. I took a picture of every single one, and I scanned it and I emailed it as a separate JPEG. And by me doing that, I was able to then pull up my Canva 8.5 times 8.5 book that I had created, that size, and just upload all of my images into Canva. Once I had all my images into Canva, then it was super easy. I could just take and pop them in each page, and I was hitting background remover because Canva has a beautiful feature now that they did not have a couple of years ago, and that is the background remover. And you also have an erase and an add to button. That's kind of like a little extra there that they've added to it. So I was like, okay, this works. I have the pictures in, but I still was not satisfied with Felix. I still was not really satisfied with the way that it looked. But I had a working copy. And what I mean by that is I had a copy that I was able to kind of just keep looking at, keep going through page by page. I was able to pull a full spread out and be able to look at all of the colors and how everything was lining up. So I did play around with a lot of that. I did not go back and try to sketch again. I was like, nope, this is money bags. This is it. I'm not going to go and keep sketching. I'm going to stick with this until I do the whatever it is that's next. So I sent the manuscript back out to some of my trusted beta readers, and I said, can I read this to you, or can you read this with your family one more time? Because I got the readability down to 1.9. And I know that that is a Lexile range that is created with Microsoft Word, and it's also used from Pro Writing Aid. At the end of the Pro Writing Aid, when you hit one of their features, it will give you the total. And I was like, okay, this is way better with the vocabulary. I started getting positive responses the second time around. The same positive response, but it was the vocabulary is now doable. This is working. It's all flowing. I did take away a few of the pages. I felt like, no, this is just way too long. So I did start shortening up the book. Once I got it into its final way that I felt like, okay, this is it. This is My Fly Felix Me. I sent it to my editor, and I went back to that the Google Doc that I had it in, and that's what I sent to her. So she could just make comments and ask clarifying questions, make any type of editing corrections that she needed to do. And of course, I had some, and I had a couple of questions. And the questions in the book were warranted. And they came at the part where the reader is jumping in. Because once the reader jumps in, the transition is through pictures. So it actually kind of shows the reader jumping in. There is a big old arrow. And then the reader, let me go and find my fly again. So the reader actually turns into, oh no. No, I have too many of these. Like, and you got to see them all. I've already showed it to you, but, and of course I'm not going to be able to find it right now. Surprise. I'll show you in a minute. But the reader is going to turn into the fly. But my editor was like, there just needs to be something else here. So that way the reader is very clear, because then I'm doing dialogue pieces on the next page. And so then it turns into dialogue with quotation marks. So I did need this transition between those two pages. And now it's flowing, it's working. So thanks to my editor for finding that place where I could clarify. So after I made all of the corrections and I sent it back, and then I got the final, hooray, it's complete, from my editor, I went back to the Canva document and I cleaned everything up. And I kept looking at the watercolor images that I had scanned with my iPhone and placed in there. And I kept going, I don't know. I love it, but I want more for this book somehow. And I go down and I run into my husband. And I'm like, okay, Eli, I got the book, and of course the kids had looked at it. He had looked at it after everyone else had looked at it. And they were like, that looks good. It looks good. And I said, yeah, but I've got my tablet. So guys, last year, with one of my author expenses for last year, I bought this beautiful tablet. And it is easy to use. I had convinced myself it was very intimidating and scary. So I also bought a monthly subscription to the Adobe suite and the Adobe products. So I have Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign and Lightroom and all of these, Adobe Spark and all these really cool products. And I'm paying for it on the monthly. And I really felt like I was driving a jet plane, like American Airlines. I'm working there. And I was just getting overwhelmed. But I'm working there, and I have no certificates in Adobe, and I have no training, and I'm crashing, and I'm messing up, and I'm not figuring it out. And this was last summer, and I quit. And instead of going back on YouTube or going back just to the Adobe site and watching their live and watching all of their wonderful creators that are there and doing their tutorials, I was just feeling like I was going all over the place and really not getting anywhere from it. So I pretty much gave up. And my husband was like, look, here's a question I got to ask you. He was like, do you want to be a children's book author the rest of your life like you say you want to do? I'm like, yes. He's like, you drew everything there. Go upstairs, go watch a YouTube video, figure it out. And I sighed, and I was like, let's pray about this. And we prayed, and I came up, and I was like, okay, I had a very long day, and here I am thinking of going to YouTube and trying to find a YouTube video on how to use Adobe Illustrator. And I'm like, okay, Lord, just send me to the right place. And so I started praying even before going to YouTube. And I watched a couple of videos, and it was like the dude's head was in the way. So he was like, instead of the pen going up and he was pushing buttons, you could just see the camera. I'm like, okay, this isn't working. Got off. pull up another one. It's like, oh, this is part 2 of this tutorial, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wait, it didn't even say that in the title. So I'm like, I'm all set. Then I go, okay, I did like this, guys. I just moved the tablet and the whole American Airlines panel went away and it looked like JJ, the jet plane panel. And it was like simple. It was like, wait, where did all of this stuff go? And it's like simple. And it's like, there's a brush. And then I was like, oh, there's a color wheel. And oh, there's the brush size. And then I started playing around and I started having some fun. And I actually learned how to make a new page because the other way I wasn't figuring out even how to make a new page. So I was like, oh my goodness, there's a page. There's the page button. Y'all, I was so excited. I couldn't move. I was to the point where I was kind of scared to move because I was scared if I moved the tablet in a certain way, something would happen and it would go back and I wouldn't have a clue or I would lose something. So I sat right here and I pulled out every single one of these pictures that I had on paper. And I just went boom, 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 page after page after page after page. And I just said, gotta do it. I gotta do it right now. So, guys, I had supper, I had homeschool, I had everything that I had to do. And I was like, look, Sam, baby, I have figured this thing out. Just give me one more hour. That's all I'm asking. If we can just put one more hour on this evening and just let us kind of adjust our time because we are very patterned in our homeschool. We have a certain schedule and we like to keep it. And he is a creature of habit. He likes to keep it. But I was like, just today, baby, please just let mama keep working it because it's working. And I would do it. I would draw. I'd take a picture. I'd send it out to them because they're all in different places of the house and I'm sending it. And I'm going, look, I'm doing this. And it was so much joy for silly little drawings of a fly and a rocket ship and a pterodactyl and a fly swatter. Like, y'all, I had the best time making this book. And I do believe it was because I knew in my head what I wanted. I played around with watercolor. I moved from watercolor to Illustrator, and then I had a final product. And so that day, it took me a couple hours, and I had every single one of these pages that I already showed you right back into Illustrator, and I had a page per design. So then what do? Guys, y'all are going to laugh because I didn't know what was next on Illustrator. I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to go watch a video. Like, is it saved? Is it still there? I was scared to like cut it off. I was scared to move. My pen kept dying. I had to keep charging my pen just for a few minutes and then I'd pull it out and I'd keep going. And I didn't know how to get the pictures, like save it. And I know that I have not even looked since because it worked the way I did it. So I'm going to tell y'all the weird way I did it. And y'all can say, oh my gosh, seriously, Jennifer, that's how you did the thing? Yes, I did. So I pulled up Illustrator because I have it. It's on my computer. I pulled up the screen and I'm like, okay, control print screen. Like literally control print screen. And I had a big old screen done. I took and went over to Canva and I pasted it in and it had all the gunk around it. And I cropped it on Canva and then I hit remove background. But even before cropping it, when I cropped it and I got it to the white background, because each page was white. I didn't do fillers. I didn't do anything. It was just, each individual drawing, just like this. Even before doing remove background, it was very crisp. And I could have just hit back and forward on Canva and moved my text in front if I wanted to. But I did the background remover. anyway, and then I was able to move and slide my kite all around and fly my kite all over the page until I had it positioned where I wanted it. And I did each and every page control print screen, y'all, and put it in the document on Canva. And then the book, it's here. And the last thing that I did, so I put each picture on each page. The last thing that I did was work on the cover. And I positioned the ladybug flying off with the balloons. And of course, this is not in the book, but it is an inferencing skill that students will be able to then afterwards go back and look at the cover and say, oh, wait, there wasn't a ladybug flying with balloons, but maybe that was something that Felix tried and it was a disaster and it didn't work. So I love that piece on the cover. Then I played around trying to figure out if I should put some more flies on the cover. And every time I would, the kids and Eli would say, no, take it all off. Just leave it. It's simple. It's beautiful. I love it. So I got my cover. If you've been on at Jen Lowry Writes or looking around here on Facebook or Instagram, you will see the cover. And I'm going to show it to you right now. And I'm going to show you my Canva images and how they ended up looking, because I want you to see the digital, and I did a copy. So I'm going to show you the original and then the digital so you can see the differences. All right, I'm getting ready to share my screen. Uh-oh, it's freezing up. It's turning gray on me. It's circling. This is not a good sign. Y'all be patient with me a second. I've not had this happen before. It says Google Chrome is not responding. And I didn't even have tons of tabs up. Lovely. I might have to pop back on here, guys, if it's going to continue to do this. Yeah, it is not responding. Chrome is not responding. I'm going to hit close the program. If it closes out, I'm going to be right back and finish showing you. Okay, now I'm back. I hope you guys are still hanging out here with me. It kind of did a Google Chrome not working. I froze. I know, I froze. Never happened before. And it was right when I had pulled up my documents for the reveal. I was like, I'm coming back. What kind of reveal was that, right? Okay, I'm going to share my screen. We're going to try this again. Ooh, it's working. Okay, this one is the original. And so you can come up on Canva, and when you are doing the resize, do you see how I make a custom size and I have an 8.5, 8.5? This one is my original. Then I can come in here and then I can hit make a copy down here. And that's where I moved from this original to that had the watercolor designs in it to actually moving over into the digital piece. So now you can see how crisp it all looks, completely different. So this is the before, and it was kind of dull. And now here is the final cover. My Fly Felix and Me, my first job. And I absolutely love those balloons. And look at the difference between the digital quality versus, and I'm even going to blow it up so you guys can see the graininess. You see how grainy that looked? I mean, I got it in there. So I call this one just one of my mock-ups, just getting everything all together. Because then what I like to do is the grid view version. Because once I had the grid view, you could see how many times I kept trying Felix because I was not satisfied with Felix. But you can see how I wanted the colors to just kind of go and flow and work. And so I'm giving you guys the sneak peek of the watercolor version, which you can see, like, my nieces use the words janky all the time. Like, I really believe that this one was bad, and I knew it was bad, but I was getting it in there in the placement that I wanted it to be. And so this was Lucy with watercolor. And I'm like, no, I got to have a better Lucy than this. So it goes back to tools, in my opinion. And so after that, I moved here, and now you can see my Lucy. And this one is with Illustrator. And there is my Felix. And I loved my Felix. And it only took me maybe 3 times just moving, making my shape sizes for Felix. And I knew this was him. He just seemed so happy to me. He's very simple for me to draw, which means that when I'm moving forward in my series, I'm going to be able to take this Felix and have tons of adventures. So not just my first job, but maybe my first trip or maybe my first book, because students that are in earlier grades would love to have a book that would teach them about a book, the placement of a book. So I've already started brainstorming some different standards and different skills that students would need at an early age. And Felix can take them on that adventure. And I can draw Felix, and I can continue to work Felix throughout the Illustrator process. And so, guys, did the same thing. I got my whole spread out, and I started looking at the digital. How does it look now? There was the final fly swatter, the evil flapper. And that is, I did a couple of evil flappers digitally, and this was the one that the kids picked as the one that they liked the best of the evil flapper. And then I just was able to move my images around with the back, just be able to place it wherever. I had it going all over the way. And then this ended up being that one I showed you where the leaves were coming off the page. And I did it into 2 chunks because I wanted the leaf falling. And then, oh no, Lucy. I will tell you guys what my favorite drawing is in the entire book. And it's this kite. Now, I do not know why, but I absolutely love this kite. I don't know if it's calling back to days when me and my daddy would go across the street and we would fly kites in the open field. I don't know why. I used kites in Offbeat. So yep, here we go again. I'm writing an adult sweet romance with there's a part in there about kites, and now I've got a kite in my children's book, and it's my favorite drawing out of all of them. I do love the rocket ship, but there's something about that kite. I will show y'all how my rocket ship. The kids told me that out of all of the watercolor drawings, the boys like the rocket ship the best. And when I asked them out of the drawings digital, they went straight back to the rocket ship. They said they like the fire. They like to see Lucy inside the rocket ship. And so this was all done with Illustrator. And it was with the base colors all at the very beginning. So I got to tell you guys that story too. So I'm going to get off. I'm going to leave the final book. Cheyenne said, I smiled when I froze. Well, that's a good thing. And so now I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So now you can see the huge difference that it made from here to the scanned image, then to the digital image. And so I am going to now dedicate more time, more tutorial work. I'm doing the Educator Max right now. We're in the Max conference. We're in the Adobe conference right now. I did tons of them yesterday, and I have Illustrator Part 2 today that I'm going to. So hopefully I will be able to learn some more tricks. Like yesterday, the Illustrator Part 1 workshop was all about how do you set up your page? How do you set up your tools and what brushes and what you would be using a lot? Because as they said, you've got all of this, but you probably won't be using all of that, which is hilarious because guys, here's what I used. I used the paintbrush. I used the 2. That the 2 was the pen brush stroke, the size of that. And then I went to the basic color wheel because I did not realize until I was in my final images that I could push one more button and I could get the gradient and I could get the full wheel and I could get to then choose and move through colors. So actually, by Illustrator having those base colors there, the book really does flow very nicely with the color palette that I chose. So the swatches of the book, if you just look at the colors, I think personally, they pop and they look great. I know that there could be people that could watch it and say, oh my gosh, she's not trained. She's not an illustrator. She's never taken a class. She's figuring all of the stuff out. She's going really the long way around life to do this work. But as you guys can see, I am smiling. I am excited. I am happy that this product that I love, this book that I love, actually is now something that I can stand behind and say, look what happened, guys. This is how My Fly Felix came to be. So it wasn't until like a couple of the final sketches, and I was like, oh, I've got different shades of green. I've got different shades of red. Yeah. And so that just means the next time I hopefully can turn my tablet and get started and all the fancy go away. And if not, I have the user guides from the workshop from the Adobe Max, all the user guides I had downloaded from my workshops, and they have the step-by-step with pictures. Thank you very much, Adobe, because you know my learning style. And I'm going to be doing a lot of the Adobe Lives. I'm just going to go to Adobe website. Oh, and Design Ninja. I met him yesterday. He is one of the ones, he's one of the presenters at the Adobe Max conference, and I really liked his personality, and he has tons of YouTube followers. And he said Illustrator is one of my favorites. I do a lot with Illustrator. And I was like, watching you. So I went ahead and subscribed to his channel. So I'm going to continue to learn. And I've got a lot to play with and a lot to work around. And I know it. But I've got My Fly Felix Me as my first book in the series. And it is done. It is up. I transferred all of the files. And so what happens when I got it to Canva? Then what did I do next? Okay, can be the long way. I'm not saying it's the best way. I'm saying this is how I did it. Then I opened up a regular Microsoft Word document, and I changed that settings up to 8.5 times 8.5. I got my page set up, and then I took each single page as a JPEG. And I uploaded it into a Microsoft Word document, because that is the way that Draft to Digital will accept that print. Now, I know that you can go and do Mobi files and EPUBs and do all of those kind of things, but nope, not for me. I'm just doing it my old-fashioned way and putting it on a Microsoft Word and then putting it up. And so as soon as I got it up on Draft to Digital, which is the platform that I use for all of my ebooks, I did the description, set up all of the categories, and checked all the pages, made sure that everything was included, that I didn't miss a page, skip a step, and I approved the book, and it went out for pre-order, and I had everything set because I knew that when I was going to start talking about the cover, start talking about it with families, that it is ready, that January 1st is coming, and the book will be available. You could start to go on now, and if they found it and it's like, oh, that's 99 cents, I want to pre-order that, then they could go ahead and have that pre-order set up. And as I'm going to continue to talk about My Fly Felix Me, then I can send them to the link. So then I went to the books to read link, and I realized that I had the old cover on there. And I was like, oh no, what do I do? So of course, Draft to Digital has the best customer service for me. They told me exactly what to do. I went over to Books to Read. I fixed the cover, got it done, and now the cover is up there, and it's the right link that I'm sharing out, and it's available for Overdrive and Barnes and Noble, and I've got it already up there on pre-order. And I'm just waiting for Amazon to pick that one up, and then we're good to go. We'll have it on tons of sites for people to be able to access the book. And so now, what am I going to be doing between now and January? So I've been thinking about the teacher's guide for it, because you guys know that I've got to write some curriculum extension pieces that are going to go along the book. So that's what I'm going to be up to. I'm going to be making forms for students to follow along, like a diary, interview questions, a lot of extensions. So in the book, you have to complete a job application. You have to have a job interview. And I'm going to extend that out into the teacher's guide. So that's what I'm going to be working on. So if you see me going live some days and you're like, wait, she's making a teacher's guide for My Fly Felix Me live? Yeah, I'm going to be doing some of those things and whatever little pockets of time I've got. So I'm really glad that you guys could hang out with me today. I've got to get off because it's almost 5. We're getting ready to take our family walk of the day. And then I've got to cook hot dogs and onion rings for supper. So the kids will be ready for the walk. Solomon's just finishing up class, but I hope that my roundabout way shows you that you could create a children's book too. I'm sure you can find 10 steps easier process than what I did, but YouTube is available for all of us to study each other and learn and, do it better the next time around. So I am very open to research, continuing to learn. And that's what I'm going to be doing, is also investing my time in Illustrator. So if you think about it, all that money that I've been spending every month on those Adobe products, at first it was just sitting there. I wasn't doing anything with them. Just that one day to get My Fly Felix and Me, I really feel like it's worth it. And I feel like it's going to continue to be something that I'm going to be using as far as the tools go in my toolbox for the rest of my author career, now that I can do the basics on Illustrator. So if you guys see me with some silly drawings, you just can roll your eyes and say, what is she working on now? Because I really do want to play around with the Fae of Averly of the animals of the forest. And I want to do a companion book for that. So that's for another day. All these ideas. And now that I can do the basics of Illustrator, I did not know how to save it all and do all that fake stuff. I'm gonna get there. I did control print screen, but hey, I got it done, right? Now that I've got this, and I've still got tons of my watercolor paper, I ordered this gigantic box of watercolor paper. So I got tons in here, meaning tons more projects that I can be drawing up and sketching and then using my tablet to finish them up. So, all right, guys, I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and thanks for being with me.